Greetings, humanoids of the internet! My name is Bob, and this is another episode of Journey into Space! Journey into Space. Now, the music sounds a little loud. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Now, I've been playing around with building a spacecraft that's sort of similar to if you've ever seen my grand tour videos back in the day, I would make videos that could resource mine along the way as it went to different planets. And back in those days, it was either Kethane or Carbonite. Since KSP itself has resources, this will use KSP's own resources. I had a couple different designs made up, but I found one that was a bit more, bit lighter than the rest. So let me load it up. I said, let me load it up. Someday. Okay, here we go. Where is it? What was it? Was it the Selene? Let's see. That looks like it. Now we have to do a little testing to make sure everything is going to work correctly. I've tested the engines a little bit. It doesn't get very far on the surface of Kerbin, but just to go ahead and make sure I've got everything set up correctly again, we'll go ahead and do a ground test. And this is obviously not the rocket that would get it into space. This is the actual spacecraft itself. Okay, set up to 2. Throttle up. And these are lantern engines, so they have different modes. This is afterburn mode now. Afterburn mode. SAS on. It does take off just a little bit, but obviously it's not intended to function in this environment. What the fuck? Oh, Bob is dead. Bob dies a lot. Anyway, as I mentioned, this is not really intended for use on a surface, on a Kerbin surface rather. It's intended to go from one moon to the next. Right flight. Something. Yeah, so it's not intended for heavy, for large gravity fields. It's not really designed for that. Of course, it remains to be seen whether it's even designed for small gravity fields, but we'll see. I imagine it will do much better. The other part of it that I haven't tested and really do need to test is the mapping probe. What I do is I have the mapping done by a separate spacecraft that separates off from the spacecraft once it reaches the orbit of the moon. It goes into a polar orbit. It does the scan, and then after the spacecraft is done with its mission on the moon, they rejoin and go on to the next moon, next celestial body. Yes, but I need to actually need to test the probe part, make sure it's got enough oomph to. That's a different resource scanning probe. Let's go ahead and separate out this. Okay. Okay, here's the probe we want to do our testing on. I'm just going to use HyperEdit to get it to where it needs to go. I'm not going to bother launching it. I figure we're not going any place heavier than the moon, so that should be a good test of whether this has the power to do all the appropriate maneuvers and return. Let's go ahead and deploy all our panels and our heat sinks, radiators. And let's get pointed prograde. And so we're going to try to get this bad boy. Whoa! Skizzing out. Have maneuver, please. No. Stop skizzing out. Okay, I'm going to add a little... Whoop. Set SAS first. And add a little thrust to stop the prograde and retrograde marks from completely skizzing. Wanting to activate the engines too. Alright, that should be good enough. Alright, let's get into a polar orbit. Good enough. I don't know whether this makes any difference. I'm just going to extend this for the helmet. I'm not that sure how KSP does the relay of data thing now. Okay, around lovely moon. Okay. Now is this going to tell me I need to be in a polar orbit? No, it's going to deploy without any kind of hassles at all. Okay, let's go ahead and warp up to and we want to give it a lot of advanced time, like about a minute, because these engines don't have much power to them. Of course, it's not a very big probe either, so and I have to watch out because the engines do overheat. Yeah, I should have taken a shot of that earlier. Alright, we'll get there one way or the other. That used up about half our fuel, which indicates to me that I probably need to add more fuel if I want to get this thing back to a rendezvous under its own power. Those engines are glowing red. Makes me nervous. Am I actually going to get to polar orbit at some point? Or am I going to run out of gas first? I was wondering whether I should go with ion engines for this. I think that's probably close enough to being polar. Let's see if it'll do a scan. Carbonite? Why is it scanning for carbonite? I don't even have the carbonite mod installed on this. Okay, so that's done the whole planet. There, here. As long as I'm in a polar orbit, I think it'll scan the whole place. We'll just run through a few revolutions just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that all I have to do is be in a polar orbit and that gets the job done. Okay. Well, I've got almost no fuel in the tank, so as as something that would get to a polar orbit and return, that's not so good. I could either double up the tanks, or I could go with an ion design. Let's take a look at that. Okay, here's the ion version of the test of the probe that would the mapping probe. Question is whether the tiny nuclear engines I have on the other probe would even work in the real world. It's a mod part obviously, but I wouldn't say it's impossible that it would work. It's just that we've certainly never done it. So all the nuclear engines that human beings have actually made, ground-based testing, were great big. So it's possible it would work. It was certainly not obvious that it would work. But in any case, here's the ion version. I probably will be going with the gas-powered version, because even if this works, because ion engines are just slow. So we'll see. Got to hyper edit. Oh. Do exactly like the other one. 100,000 meter orbit, and apply. Let's deploy some solar panels. Get us heading prograde. Alright, and let's plan our maneuver. Okay, as I thought it would be, this is painfully slow. I'm not going to go with this, so let's go ahead and just move right along. Alright, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use HyperEdit to go ahead and get this to orbit around Ike. and then from there we will navigate as per normal. First landing on Ike actually first detaching this and sending that to scan the surface of Ike for resources, and then landing on Ike, extracting said resources to refuel the spacecraft, and then launching back into space. Yeah. Alright, here we are in a 75-kilometer orbit around Ike. We don't really have time to land the thing. We will go ahead and do the mapping thing. Go ahead and deploy our solar panels. We don't need our landing gear sticking up. That's up with a weird solar panel angle. That's a pretty damn nice looking spacecraft. Let's go ahead and decouple node. This thing has no, yes it does have RCS. Nope, nope. Nope. Control issues. This does not behave as I would expect it to. As far as the RCS goes, not that it really matters that much. I see, that's weird. That behaves as I would expect it to, but that does not behave as I would expect it to. Whatever. Turn the RCS off. Oh, well, let's get a little distance from the spacecraft here. Alrighty. Oh, looks pretty polar. Did I fuck up the RCS ports on this somehow? I don't see how I would have. Alright, quick experiment. That behaves as I would expect. That does not behave as I would expect. Whatever. I don't even need the RCS. Let's go ahead and warp over to the node. Warp over to the node. And again, we're going to want to start off about 2 minutes before. Warp to the node. Warp to the node. Alrighty. Warping to the node. Warping to the node. I'm real hesitant to go full power on these things because they tend to overheat very easily. Whoa, what happened there? The world disappeared. Alright, here we go. This might take a while. Okay, our orbital survey of Ike is complete. We have plenty enough fuel to rendezvous with the spacecraft once its mission on the surface is done. Looks like a very wealthy planet in terms of its resources. Okay, it took me a second to figure out what the hell I was seeing here on these maps. But anyway, it's like when the time comes, the best place that's on orbital plane would be around here. So next time, when we're ready to land, we'll get the Selene over in that area. Now here's a question: can the Selene actually see what the other guys have done? No. Do we have our this thing deployed? Okay. So how do we figure out, how do we see where the resources are from here? Because obviously we don't have that kind of antenna on this because there'd be no point for it to because it's not needed for landing and stuff. So don't need that. What the hell, that's it. Okay, so evidently I can't see the map from over here. It's kind of stupid. But in any case, I will figure that out when the time comes. I don't know what all this is. I'm just kind of figuring shit out. Okay. Alright, well that's excuse me. That is all for right now, I suppose. And next time we will try to land this bitch somewhere where there's some resources for us to extract. Here with Sisy Kerman in orbit around Ike. And until next time, hasta la vista. Adios!